Finally, here we are in Solaris, and this is our shiny little boat. Let's make this uglier. And I want to start cleaning up thing. We are going to use the main flip, but we don't need this guy. The secondary flip, this guy we don't need as well. So we need to include that and this. And let's start from this one and then we can keep going down. So the boat is the same. Let me double check if we have this set to matte. No, it's all good. So what I want to do, I want to just disconnect this, disconnect this, disconnect this, because we can just start testing from. I want to test just the boat and the ocean for now. This is a good starting point. It's not bringing the correct one, so let's go ahead and bring the guy that we want, that is in the upres geo. Upres, what we need is the out flip mesh. Remember that this time we didn't cut out the flip mesh, we didn't remove that, so this is also works for the volume. So what we can do, we can just copy this and paste the same in here, but this one is being interpreted as a volume when we check the uniform volume, so it's different. It's only visible in the secondary rays, so it's not visible in the primary rays, so only refraction and reflection. And this is linked to the material that we probably going to keep. We don't need to add any displacement actually, because there is so much naturally distortion and information in this high-res mesh that we don't need to break up with spectrum things. So let me go to the material. For this guy, yeah, we can use this one, but we can dive inside and we can just disconnect the displacement because we don't need the spectrum. I'm going to come and disconnect this, so we don't need. Also in here, displacement, I can just come and disconnect this. Displacement output. Yeah, in here, I'm going to disconnect the displacement. Let me see the stage. I come to the material, is the correct one, the ocean surface and the ocean volume. And the naming is the same because we didn't change. So, and the boat it's also should be correctly set. So let me just double check, but I guess everything is correct. We have all the materials assigned because we didn't change. We don't have the mainsail anymore, so we can disconnect this one. And because we disconnect that, we also need to disconnect the mainsail in here. Otherwise it's going to look for it and it's not going to find it, it's going to complain. Let me go. Mainsail, here it is. Sorry guys. Alright, the genoa is all good. And let's see through the camera. I need to probably change the camera, and let's say this call main flip shot 3 close up. I also want to change that name here. I want to create a folder here called shot 3, and under the folder has this name and the other one. That's good. Now we need to pick the camera, but we need to have like this camera, so cam shot 3, and we need to pick up the camera is this one. So now this is going to be available for us and it's going to stop. So let me look through this camera and let's render to see what we got. Just bring in the flip and the bolt. All right, let's see. I come back as soon as finished. Thank you. So here I had an issue, and the issue is that my geometry, it was wrong. All right, so this was set to matte and we don't want to set this to matte. and this is not set to matte, I guess, but it wasn't visible anyway. So now let me restart render. The boat itself looks a bit odd. I need to investigate why is that. It shouldn't look like that, or let me just change the camera to see if it's something strange with the boat. No, the boat is actually correct. I think the texture, I have like another one that has fixed this issue with the normal. So I'm going to pause and double check if I brought the correct one. So it's the whole here. I have another one for it. It's under who fix this one. This is the base color. And also who fix this is the roughness. I was having this issue with the normal that was strange, and I realized what I did wrong, and so I have like this other texture sets. Roughness, okay, this is correct now. Let me restart the render. Yeah, you see it fixed this issue with the bolt. Everything else looks correct, so I think I have set. We need, of course, the whitewater and all that, like to make it really nice, but you see we have like a lot of details from the mesh itself, what it's great. And let me see, yep, everything is good. We can probably play with that. But there is a lot of, like, if you look closely, there's a lot of nice detailing just from the flip. Awesome. I think we can work with the rest of these elements, bring everything in the next lesson to actually finish this render. Thank you. I want to make this manual so it doesn't start cooking. And this guy we keep like that, so we can just delete this. It was just to bring all the flips, but now we have everything in one. Surface whitewater. Let me change that to dual. It's going to be easier for us to bring the element in. So I'm going to come to stage with this one and upper sim with that one. Okay, so we have these two whitewaters. We can call this whitewater from flip. This one, if you remember, we did that using the vorticity and just scattering points on the vorticity, so we have like this nice feeling for the mesh. And I need to bring this guy in. Awesome. And we probably need to set this, copy, let me paste this in here. And for the naming, I also want to have this in here. Okay, we can keep the same material and work after. So this is the main whitewater, so it's good. We can keep the same naming. We just relink to this path, and this one can be the same. And this one we don't need, but we can keep all these boat splashes. We have all these boat splashes. I don't think we have the mist. We don't have this layer, so we can delete. And the boat splash, let's start from the splash flip. Is this one? Just changed the name in there. But we can keep like that, the name, so this is going to match. And this one is just our whitewater, that is this guy. Just change that. It's all right. We can have like all these guys coming together in here. And this one, 0, is bringing in. We don't have any of this in this shot, we don't need. And this one we do have, but it's just for, it's disconnected now, because this one we're only going to render separately by itself, so we can disconnect that. And this one actually go in here, and this one in here, so we have like them. This one we're going to render in a separate pass, and now this we can just bring up and connect that into the merge. So we have the boat, we have the whitewater with all the elements, and we have the flip. What we don't have is just the mist and the rain, but we don't need that for now. So I render and come back. And here you go. We have all the elements. You see this whitewater here is coming from the flip, so it's helping blending the details on the flip itself, so we don't have the mesh poking through the whitewater that looks a little bit strange. And we have like the splash, looks really nice. The boat is coming down into the water. It's a lot of details, and yeah, it's really cool. There is something else that I want to discuss about the rain effect that I was thinking about, and I think because we're so close, we could add like some hits from the rain into the boat. That could be really cool to just add an extra level of detail in this close-up shot. So we're going to set up the render for this. We can render this element, and after that we go back to the rain. It's a quick fix, a quick tweak on the simulation, and we do that, and then we can just come back and render the rain mist with the XPU. That's really fast, and we are all good to go. Before you render the whole sequence, let's just double check if we have the image output. I'm going to keep that 32. The image outputs, just I want to include the combined diffuse. I want to include the combined glossy reflection, glossy transmission, combined emission. In this case we don't have emission, but we do have volume. And in the extra, I want to enable, now we don't need the extra because we don't need the Z map in this, the depth map, because it's so close, and we don't even need the cryptomate for this. I think we are really good with that. We don't really need that. So it's pretty good. We just need that. And then you can just render this sequence, and see you in the next one. Thank you. Back. In this case, I also remember that it would be really unnatural. It's so close if the rain doesn't collide with the boat. It's so visible in the camera, so we need to add the collision of the boat and the sail. It's important to have that. So let's first add these collisions. So I'm going to do a static object. This is boat. And the boat we have, we go into the sailboat in, and we can use the thick or the other one. In this case can be the other one that's lighter. So collide geo. We can use this as a surface, so we can just set like as a surface, because it's pop likes to collide with surface. It doesn't need the volume. And this sail, we bring the out sail geo is this one. Okay, use the form geometry on both of them, of course. Merge and merge. Okay, so if you go into the pop solver, you can actually come to the collision behavior and say like hit group. It means that when the particles collide with the object, we can just make them die. So they hit and they die. But they also get included to this group, the hit group, right? And then what we can do, we can use like a pop replicate. And this pop replicate is going to create particles based on that hit group, because we're going to add the same hit group in here. Let me just double check if I have the same name. No, I was wrong. It's all caps for the group. And okay, so I want to emit around 200, and also I want to make this really small, so I want to divide 4 by 24. So every 4 frames, it's going to have the life expectancy is in seconds, so we're dividing 4 by 24 and giving us like this really tiny one, and a little bit of variance, like half, 1/3 of that with variance. Yeah, we don't need that. We can have like none because we want as soon as they collide, and that's good. So yeah, let's go to the shape. Let's just reduce that. That would be the size of the ring, more or less, you know, like where we're going to emit. And I want to emit as a cone. Just help us like with the shape of that replicate. So it's going to put like a real cone, a small cone around it, a 0.07 cone around each collision particle, and it's going to emit from that. And the particles are going to be very like 4 frames and they will die. It's just like a little pop. You know, we can add some noise. So I'm going to add a noise with higher frequency and with very little amplitude, because I don't want to distort a lot, just to break up the patterns. Good. And the attributes, we can give like some variance, add to inherit velocity. So 0. Actually, we don't need to add, we need to set initial, because the velocity is going down and we want to reset that and shoot up. So I want that to be 0.7 up, and a little bit of variation in this, 0 bit in this, like maybe 2.5, and a little bit of variance like 0.4, 0.2, 0.5, or whatever, 0.4, just to give like some variance in here. And then we are set. Like, so when the particles hit that, we are going to get like that shape. So let me go back to frame 1, and now we have this. All right, I think we're all set. We have the diffraction, we have everything. Yeah, it's all good. We can cache and see the results. Thank you. And then we're going to render this. So here is the cache, and you can see what's happening with the particles once they hit. All these little bit are the splashy points here in the sail and here in the hull, and here is the whole like rain mist passing through the camera. So we have that, and you can see these popping particles. Like, we can randomize the p scale, might be okay, or we can even like have like maybe a little smaller, like, or we can even set like based on the group if you want, and for these ones and set a different one. But I think it's good, like maybe you can just decrease that a little bit to 1.8 and maybe 4. Yeah, we have like all these pop replicate points. Yeah, the pop replicate, we have all these points, a lot of points. We're good. So great, let's render that, and we come back in the next one to finish up, to wrap up this journey. Welcome back to the last element that we're going to render in this. So let me do it, what we're going to do. So we're going to have like the same thing that we did. I'm going to rename that to rain shot 3, so we don't mess up and re-render on top of the other one. The same thing here, and we don't need that. So I'm going to bring this guy in here, disconnect, and this one, we don't need this, and we can disable the material so it's much faster to load. And we come to these two guys and we set them to matte. Okay, they're going to cut out our geometry here. The rain particles are linked correctly, and the rain volume as well, because we didn't change the place for them. So I think they're all right. And this one, and here we can set this to XPU. Great, 64 for now, it's good. And yeah, great. Let's see what we have. Restart render. Okay, so we have like the points here, and what we can do, we can pause this, come to our Houdini, come in here, and now we can go back to Karma and restart render really fast. That's good. Maybe we can visualize this in the dark background just to see if we can visualize the volume. So dark. Here is the volume. It's going like that. So let's see in another frame, because it just passed really fast, you know, through the lens. Yeah, you see, like that's a big gust going through, and I think the size of these particles, they look too big to me. So I think we need to work on them. So I'm going to go back to this, to the object context. I want to come to rain mist, and I want to reduce that to 1 and to maybe, I don't know, like 2, or even go even less with that, like 0.8 and 0.02. I think it's good. Let's go. Let's go to the stage and look from the camera. Restart render. Yeah, now it looks much better. We see that the bolt is cutting out that. The rain is just passing through, and that's just a layer on top of the main one. So it's going to work perfectly. That's amazing. So the next class is not actually a full class where I teach you something, but just to wrap up everything, we're going to just look to the final shot together, and I'm going to summarize what we learned throughout this journey in a very summarized way, because it was a lot of things. Hopefully you learned a lot of things and had a lot of fun in this process. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one. So here is our final shot. Yeah, nice movement. Of course, I always look to this and see like there is room for improvement. There is always a lot of things that we could improve. But the thing is that it's about timing, right? Like you can get like to 90% of the work done, and the last 10% takes maybe even more time to really make it on point, because some of these fixes you can only really see once you render the sequence, not only a frame. Then you have like the real feeling of like, okay, I could add like more finer mist to the splashes, could rise this up a little bit. So there's a lot of things that we could improve, but I'm really happy with the result anyway. And the script is pretty simple. So what I'm doing here is just bring it and splitting in the AOVs. This is the diffuse. I'm just setting a shuffle and set the combiner diffuse into the RGB. Then this is the glossy reflections, and you can see how much details we have. And you can boost this if you feel like. You can also boost this guy and to give like a little bit more. Like, let me just see it here. When you see this is coming from the reflection. So I'm going to place a grade, and if I gain this, you see you have like this reflection popping through. It's also really cool. It's not natural for this. I just have like a little grading in here, you know, like it's just kind of like dimming it down actually. And then I have the transmission in here, and also I have like the form, and this is the result. The form, I'm also just making it like a little bit more tint because the night and to match the other shots. Here's just copying back the alpha. Sometimes can give like some issues in this case because there's nothing cutting. It doesn't make a big difference. And then the layer of the rain and the mist passing through. And I did the same thing for the other shot. So this one is our key shot. This shot here. Let me just get like a more representative frame. And for this one, I'm bringing the background ocean, and also splitting the same way that we did, but there is no color correction in this. But I do have one color correction in here that is matching a color correct that I have for this, but the masking the top part of that, so it blends like that, and it make like, and then I'm just boosting this a little bit more, and here is the both of them combined. And let me go, and here is the boat. I'm also doing a lot of things in the boat. The boat was very bright, just dimming this down, and also like dimming, like making this the smoke, the mist become a little bit more tinted to blue, a bit more cool. The splashes, the same thing. So here's the splashes. I'm just dimming it down, just like a little bit of color grading. It's not like I'm not very good at this. This is not my specialty, so it's just tinting the horizon, like the sky, with this constant color. And also this, I just created like where is it? I think it's further here. Yeah, I did this just to highlight a bit for the like lightning, just to show a little bit more our environment, and just to give like this nice. It's not physically accurate, my lightning. You could do this in the render time, but I didn't. It was a very long course, so it was okay. For this intro shot, that is the opening shot, I did the same thing, opening that, color grade a little bit. This one is just let me see what I'm shuffling here. Okay, this is just the depth, but here I also have the emission, and if you can see in here, we have like this light popping there, help us to look to that. So it's the top of the mast. The sail is not full on, but it's just there. And I also did the grading, did the lightning here. You see the lightning, the lightning like boosted a little bit more the foam. And the importance for the lightning in this shot for me was just to, because it's very faint, the person could not see the boat, and this is a good chance just to reveal what's going on in the shot, and then goes down, but then your eyes are already focused in that spot. And that's basically it.
I know that was a lot of things to dive in, and I really believe that doesn't matter your skill level. I'm sure that you can take something. If you're a beginner, it may be overwhelming, a lot of things you need to go through many times, and it's long course, but I'm sure that if you just repeat and repeat, you start to click. And there is a key moment in Houdini learning process that, okay, now I understand the ideas behind, and you have the feeling that you can accomplish anything. It requires sometimes it requires wedges to test parameters, but you know that you can do that. And if that doesn't come in the beginning, it's normal. Everybody has this learning curve that it's a steep learning curve, but it's just a moment. You need to keep putting time into it. And if you're a more experienced user, I'm sure, as when I watch other people's courses and other tutorials, I always guess like, okay, that's a different idea, and I just grab that idea and merge into my own ideas, and something new is created out of that. So it's always nice to see other people work, because Houdini, you can do the same effect or similar effect through so many different ways and so many different approaches, and that's so powerful, because you can guide it through your own personality, your own way of tackle things. If you're a very technical artist, you go through very technical ideas and very hard mathematics, and you can accomplish that. If you're more in the artistic side, you can go using vox and just like get noises and try to think in a simplistic way and try to accomplish that, like doing some cheap tricks and combining with very cool techniques. And that's also possible. So the journey is forever. We're always going to keep learning things. And so thank you once more, and see you in the next one.